Hey guys, welcome to Man Reacts. Nate's not going to be here for this one. This is more my vibe. So there's some things going on with some channels that I've been watching, specifically Jimmy Dore and the Vanguard. But I'm going to play Jimmy's video. We're going to kind of just get right into it.
So you're familiar with the DC bureau chief of the Intercept, Ryan Grimm, who obfuscated around forced to vote, kneecaps Medicare for all on the regular. Now he's doing it again. We'll show you that with the new Medicare for all march. He's trying to muddy the waters. Tried to muddy the waters around Syria, imperialism, Aaron Mate. So we've caught him doing a lot of nefarious stuff, Ryan Grimm, the D.C. bureau chief of the Intercept, and doing phony fundraising for the Intercept, too. Well, he goes on the show, The Vanguard. You know The Vanguard? Friends of the show.
Which I want to say, I've been watching the Vanguard for a minute. I've been watching Jimmy Dore for, let's say, 4, maybe 5 years now. But I have been watching the Vanguard for about the past 6 months.
I'm big fans of The Vanguard guys. And I've been on their show, right? It's
Yes.
fun.
Jimmy was on their show, if I'm not mistaken, about 3.5 months ago.
Yeah.
And the Vanguard guys, you know, they're. I like that they're out there doing it, and they get it right most of the time, right? Much more than other people. So they had him on, and so I went really fast. I got it logged on to YouTube, and it said, "Hey, there's a live stream with the Vanguard." Right? It came up in my feed, and Ryan Grimm. I'm like, "Oh, because Ryan Grimm has blocked me." So the DC bureau chief of the Intercept has blocked me on Twitter. He's blocked me, and then continues to tweet at me or tweet about me in negative ways, which is not cool. That's like the opposite of what a journalist is supposed to do. That's not, and it certainly breaks at least 3 douchebag rules. So there he is, being a douchebag. He's wearing a T-shirt because he thinks it makes him look more like a human. And so I got in the chat, right? So I don't know what was happening. I didn't see the whole. They did like a 40-minute interview before I got in. So I get in and I start that's the Jimmy Dore show, is asking a question. Why did you try muddying the waters on Syria when you obviously haven't read anything about it and aren't even familiar with Aaron's work? So we already did a video about that. You can go watch it. It's called Humiliated, I think. And it's when he likes to humiliate himself. You know, Ryan Grimm, he does. That's why he gets ratioed on Twitter on the regular. And why? Because I think he likes humiliation.
And if you're familiar with this story at all, Ryan Grimm was more or less another talking piece of TYT and the network. He is with the Intercept.
That's his
So
peccadillo.
that's his peccadillo. And so I wanted to ask these questions, and I don't know what was happening before in the interview, but I asked like a series of like at least 7, maybe 10. A lot of questions I asked. And it was unfortunate that he didn't answer any of them. So that was unfortunate. But here's how it went. Watch this.
Since Jimmy is in the chat, I figured this will be a good segue into my last question for you, Ryan. And as you see here, he's asking why you even got involved in the Syria discussion with Aaron Mate on Twitter. And I guess this is a good segue into my question for you, which is...
No. That's a good segue into the question I paid to ask. Why don't you ask him that?
Fucking exactly. Why would you say Jimmy's question is a good way to segue into my question, which has nothing to do with Jimmy's question? Fucking stupid.
That question. That would be the question I would like to ask. So that's why people have super chats. That's why people pay money for super chats. So you ask that question. But it's your...
Keep in mind, the Vanguard's a small channel, and Jimmy has definitely mentioned them several times, gave them good praise. Never really tried to go after them in any way or be critical of them, even though there's space to be critical.
show, do whatever they want. So that was a heartbreaker for me. But it turned out okay. Watch, it still turned out okay.
It does seem like you really like wading into Twitter battles. It seems like every time I open my Twitter feed, you're fighting with Jimmy Dore or Aaron Mate or Ryan Knight or someone else. And I just find that amusing because you seem so goddamn calm and non-combative in person. Like when we're talking, you seem so reasonable, but then it seems like you're jumping at the bit to engage with these guys on Twitter, which is fine. But I do think
And then
in the
block
sense that, some people that you could potentially be reaching with your reporting kind of now have this view of you that otherwise, again, might be reached by your reporting. Again, you're the one who broke the Tara Reid case. There's no reason why so many people on the left should have this intensely negative view of you, but
There's plenty of reasons.
What kind of logic is that? You had a good story one time, so there's no reason anyone should ever question anything you ever do. What?
There's a place you watch our videos that we do about Ryan Grimm. So there's a ton of videos and there's a ton of reasons. So there's that. But it was also.
Let's keep in mind at the end of the day, Jimmy is a comedian with a YouTube show that focuses in politics.
So unfortunate that they took a serious question about a very prominent journalist, the DC bureau chief for The Intercept, who tried to muddy the waters on Syria, and then they demeaned it down to jumping into a Twitter spat. So these are narratives being pushed by the establishment media, and so it's false.
Which is exactly the same shit Kyle Kalinske did. If anybody is watching the Vanguard or Jimmy Dore, I'm sure you know exactly who I'm talking about. But Kyle's response was more or less exactly how the Vanguard responded. And we'll get to that in just a minute.
Falls on people like Aaron Mate and myself, because no one else is doing it, to fucking push back against these narratives, especially people who consider themselves on the left instead of what he actually is, a guy who runs interference for the establishment. And he head fakes you that he's on your side progressive, right? So it was unfortunate that that question didn't get asked that I asked, and B, that it got turned into the equivalent of a Twitter spat. That's a very important question about why is he doing that? Why is he trying to muddy the waters on our imperialism in Syria?
Yeah, it's a good question. Ryan Grimm is a journalist. Ryan Grimm has a platform. Ryan Grimm is reporting things as facts. So if Jimmy asks, why are you muddying the waters with Syria, and you want to completely like hop, skip, and jump over that and act like you included Jimmy's opinion in your question, ridiculous, bro.
When he knew nothing about it, it was obvious he knew nothing about it and wasn't familiar with Aaron's work. So here we go. Well, here's his answer.
Seems like you've picked a lot of these fights, so maybe that's why. I'm just wondering what exactly you get out of it and why you like Twitter Wars so much.
Yeah, I say what I think, and I always have, and some.
But
Good Lord, what a fucking answer. Really come from the heart, and I gave 110%, and I'm just going to keep giving 110%.
he says what he's just interested in the truth.
Yeah, yeah.
He just says what he just
Comes from the heart.
he cares. But the question, I do want to say, even though he switched the question, I'll summarize his question. Why are you such a dick on Twitter? What do you get out of that? And what do you get out of being owned so often on Twitter? So that I liked both.
Keep in mind, Jimmy didn't really even take it that much to heart that the Vanguard completely skipped his fucking questions. And keep in mind that Jimmy Dore's had a good relationship with the Vanguard. And he's sitting here donating money to you and giving you a platform to speak on. Like, I'm not saying you got to do every fucking thing Jimmy says or agree with everything he does, but there's no way that you can't take that as reasonable.
It was unfortunate that question didn't get asked that I asked, and B, that it got turned into the equivalent of a Twitter spat. That's a very important question about why is he doing that? Why is he trying to muddy the waters on our imperialism in Syria? When he knew nothing about it, did not like his question. I liked his question. I wish both could have been asked. But here we go.
Times that
Sorry,
I'll just
guys,
block
I was in the
you
wrong
and then
place
keep
there.
tweeting at you. I'm not going to engage Justin Jackson over Force the Vote because I'm just keep getting humiliated. But what do you think? I'm wearing a T-shirt. Don't I look relatable? I'm a guy. I'm a middle-aged man in a T-shirt.
If I see something that I think, it's like Brianna used to have a podcast called
Oh.
"Somebody's Wrong on the Internet." If I see somebody wrong on the internet, I just can't help but tell them they're wrong, and here's what's right. I just
Guess who's the guy who's wrong on the internet? It's you, Ryan. You're the guy who's wrong on the internet. You were wrong about forced divorce.
What a morally high place you put yourself, man. Ryan Grimm, of course. Crazy, man.
Oh, remember that? You're wrong about Syria. You're the guy who's wrong on the internet. You're wrong about punching down at Ryan Knight. You're wrong about punching down at Medicare for All March organizers. You're the guy who's wrong on the internet. You're the guy who's doing phony fundraising, obvious bullshit phony fundraising at your censoring organization. You tried to raise money off of Glenn Greenwald being fired.
You know,
You're the guy who's wrong on the internet. FYI. Go ahead.
I was just saying that it's interesting. He selectively identifies the people that are wrong on the internet.
Yes,
he has a
selectively.
little bit of loyalty to other
Oh,
groups.
that's interesting, Steph. Because the point you're making is that he didn't call out Cenk Uygur when he flat out lied about forced to vote and said Kevin McCarthy could become speaker. You didn't do that, did you? Right? That guy was. You didn't call out Cenk Uygur when he said Aaron Matei was paid by the Russians. You didn't do that. You didn't call out Cenk Uygur when he was smearing Julian Assange as working for Trump. You didn't do that. So you have selective about who you call out on the internet. Isn't that interesting? You'll never call out the Young Turks for their horrible misogyny. You'll never call out the Young Turks for their pig
true.
behavior when they posted revenge porn and upskirt photos at a company you work for currently.
Find me
You'll
a
never
negative
call them
story.
out for that. You'll
Find me a negative story about all the shit TYT's done from Ryan Grimm. Find me one.
never call out their ugly, unbelievable, their humiliation of women on camera. You'll never call that out.
No, because he has a financial attachment
That's
to them,
right.
because I believe you can get Ryan Grimm's book on the TYT platform, everybody.
I bet you can.
Would that compromise his reporting
Of course
in
it
any way?
would. He'll never tell the truth about the biggest middle-aged McCarthyite smear merchants, which is the Young Turks. So this idea that you call out you're the guy who's wrong, and the people you work with and for, they're the ones who are wrong on the internet, which is why you have to block people like a jagoff pothead comedian, yet still tweet at him and about him. Is there any more of this? No, that's it. Okay, here we go. He's like, Ryan Grimm is like if Sam Donaldson had a love child with Sam Donaldson.
I
Here's
think they need to add a Sam Donaldson photo in the.
so here come now. This is my favorite part. This all happened right at the end of their live stream, and as soon as I started asking questions, they jumped. So it was unfortunate. I was hoping that they would, make him answer some of the questions or at least one of them. But here's what happened. Watch this.
And then sometimes I see you, getting salty when people come after you, and it's like, well, you did kind of wade into this yourself. I think that's fair to say with the force the vote stuff, which on your debate with Brianna Joy Gray, you essentially admitted was a good idea after all was said and done. And so
Well,
I don't know.
I think the idea of leveraging your vote, like for a particular floor vote on Medicare for all, no. But like,
No,
the
No.
no.
Yes. So
What the fuck?
the idea of forced
Then what the fuck are we doing? Every comment I go through is just people saying the same thing. If that's not the point, then what the fuck is the point?
to vote is good, just not when there's a totally ideal time to do it, like in the middle of a deadly pandemic. He's still doing that shit. We should have asked for something else. When he came on my show, he was saying I wasn't asking for enough. He was saying you got to ask for more than Medicare for all. And now he's saying that's a bad idea. Why? There's no reason why. Again, there's still no reason why.
idea of like withholding your vote for speaker or for the rules package for leverage. That's I never said that wasn't a good idea. And yeah,
could your voice crack a little harder? Yeah.
He did. Maybe even, if not directly, indirectly several times said that was a bad idea.
I never said it was bad. Whoo! Come on. I mean, obviously the idea Jimmy Dore came up with is fucking great, which I didn't come up with, by the way. I didn't come up with this fucking idea. The idea that Jimmy Dore was pushing was obviously correct and right, and I have to now still weasel and try to pretend like it was somehow wrong, even though, yeah, you should use leverage for your vote to get something. What? And why not Medicare anyway?
Kind of stumbled into that one because, I at first I thought I was just like offering helpful, insight into the parliamentary process behind it. Even
he's
came
so,
on.
He's a helpful guy.
He just wants the help.
He's a solid dude.
He's just an earnest man with decidedly unserious here. He's just an earnest man he's just trying to be helpful, everybody. He's Mr. Good Guy. He's Andy Griffith.
And show who just put the thing on, happily came on to explain. And I was the one who explained to him that no, like, it's not going to elect Kevin McCarthy.
By the way,
So then why didn't you call out Cenk Uygur when he kept pushing that lie?
Boom.
Oh, that's right, because you don't call out most of the people who you have financial interests with. You just call out, like, podcasters, comedians, stuff like that. That's who you call out?
That's a good point. Why is anybody wasting their fucking time commenting on anything Jimmy has to say? For real. They're the ones that put Jimmy on this level and then act like Jimmy's the one with this cult following. It's just so fucking obvious that y'all are just going after him because of who he is, because of what he does, because of what he says. I mean, I wasn't even that big of a Jimmy Dore fan until this shit happened. You did this.
So watch this. Now it gets really fun. Watch this.
did you back on Jimmy Dore? Because he always talks about like, oh, I would whip his ass and all this stuff. But seemingly he did have you on at one point, deleted it, and then won't have you back on again. So
No, he has never.
Oh, really? Really? I've never. So watch this. Oh, he's never had. Watch how quickly this turns. Watch how quickly this turns. No, he's never had me back on. Oh, really, Ryan? Watch how this turns.
Asked me.
If you're listening, Jimmy, you can have Ryan back on. I think he's willing to talk to you. I think he'd be more than happy to have this conversation. Maybe you wouldn't. Am I wrong? Would you like to?
I don't know. I mean,
Wait a minute.
That really surprised him. Gavin got totally taken. I'm sure you'd be glad to. No, he wouldn't. Because I'm going to fucking expose him and all his bullshit. No, he wouldn't. Why do you think he blocked me on Twitter? Which I also super chatted to you. So you guys, they knew that he had blocked me. I super chatted it to them. So they knew that. Why did you think he was going to? So this is Ryan Grimm being, right. So their new buddy, Ryan Grimm, is.
I'm just going to say, Vanguard just seems so fucking thirsty in this interview. It's just access whores right now.
Revealing himself to be a weasel right in front of them. That's got to be tough. Here we go. Watch that. Let me back it up a little.
By the way, has he invited you back on, Jimmy Dore? Because he always talks about like, oh, I would whip his ass and all this stuff. But seemingly he did have you on at one point, deleted it, and then won't have you back on again. So
no, he's never asked me.
If you're listening, Jimmy, you can have Ryan back on. I think he's willing to talk to you. I think he'd be more than happy to have this conversation. Maybe you wouldn't. Am I wrong? Would you like to?
I don't know. I mean, a few people sent me clips where
talk about a hot foot, mister. I got to back that up. That was like
my favorite.
This is my favorite part.
Seemingly he did have you. Am I wrong? Would you like to?
I don't know. I mean, a few people.
And so I tried to make up this ridiculous reason why I won't go on his show, and are you guys going to buy it? I'm saying it's weird. I'm going to try and make Jimmy Dore out to be some kind of fucking really weird guy, and that's why I don't want to go on when everyone knows it's because I don't want to get embarrassed again. Look at him. He's weirdly sick, but watch. Gavin comes right at him. It's really funny. Watch this.
Would you be able to give an example of that?
I don't want to get too graphic, but he like talks about like different fetishes he thinks I have. It's like, it's weird. It's like, what is?
When he talks about your fetish for being humiliated or whatever. Yeah.
But when he talks about your fetish for being humiliated, that's the part that's too graphic. None of those words, every one of those words you could say on morning television Your fetish for humiliation. Everyone, oh, I don't want to get too graphic. You don't want to get too graphic? Or you're just a fraidy, scaredy cat of a pothead. He just...
And I mean, keep in mind, Jimmy's giving Gavin props here. The overall context that I have from Jimmy's video is not that he's even necessarily hating on the Vanguard, even though they did a fucking softball interview. I mean, I encourage you to watch the interview, but come back when you feel the same.
Fucking right in his face. God bless Gavin. Right in his face. He did it. Right. God bless that guy. Right in his fucking face. He goes, you mean like your fetish for humiliation?
A few times he's taken it to like a really graphic place, and it's like,
Yeah. Well, that's fair. Well, if this is Jimmy, I'm not sure if it is. He does say you're welcome back on anytime. So maybe you guys can hash out your disagreements. I certainly think that you guys are both smarter than you probably give each other credit for.
No, he is not. Why is it that I can own him? He's a bullshitter, and it's obvious. And so it's not about being smarter or unsmarter. It's about him being a transparent bullshitter. And it doesn't take smarts to see it. What he did around Forced to Vote was bullshit. That's what he did. What he did with Syria and Aaron on Twitter was bullshit. That wasn't honest. He's not a fucking authentic guy. This idea that and he goes on the show to be rehabilitated. It didn't work. Go look at the comments from under this video. Go look. I couldn't find a comment.
There's not a positive one
That was happy with Ryan Grimm and this interview. I could not find one. So his big plan to come on this show, not answer the questions I asked about Syria, but instead try to make everything into some kind of spat, didn't work. It didn't work. And putting on the T-shirt didn't work. People, go over there. Go to the Vanguard. I love that show. I love those guys. Go over there. Look at the comments. Not one of them liked Ryan Grimm or this interview. So,
And objectively, it was a terrible fucking interview. And you know that. All your audience knows that. And we're about to get to that. We're about to get to their response to this video.
So,
and keep in mind, Jimmy more or less ends it there. Where he's saying, I love the show, I love the guys. It was just a shit interview. So, let's bring up...
We can put this to bed. We'll see what happens. But yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. And again, we're going to give you guys a pretty good rundown of our thoughts on everything involved that's gone down since our interview with Ryan Grimm. It's going to be totally honest and, from the hip, like everything we do here. So, try not to get too triggered. If you hear something you don't like, please stay around till the end. We're going to, try to be giving a nuanced, opinion here. And we'd appreciate it if you guys listen. So anyway, what's up, Zach?
Yeah, so I guess to crack this off, we stand by 100% the interview with Ryan Grimm, or at least I do. I have no regrets about that at all. I think Ryan Grimm is an
Zero regrets.
authority when it comes to things like the infrastructure bill, and I do not feel like we let him speak on anything that we disagreed with on our show without engaging in it and at least articulating our disagreements. We'd already fleshed out Force the Vote. We'd already fleshed out a lot of the major disagreements that we'd had with Ryan Grimm. You can check out the whole debate we staged on Cinco de Mayo with him and Ryan Knight to try and get to the bottom of that Twitter drama, put it behind us, and continue, moving forward. However, of course, that didn't happen. And, Gavin, you mentioned you think that we can put this behind us. That's just not going to happen either. This is going to follow us like a cloud for a long fucking time, and I don't give a shit. But just to kind of address a couple of things right off of the bat that I did
Well, good, because that shit's inevitable.
want to say, one of the things that we said on the show that is technically, semantically incorrect, that this one's for you, Jimmy, I will correct. So Jimmy never deleted his interview with Ryan Grimm. He's just refused to make it public since the initial recording. So if you go to his YouTube channel and you're looking for the video that he did where he gives a fucking hardball, fucking just excoriating interview with Ryan Grimm, you can't fucking find it. So Jimmy, if you want to release that so you can teach us a lesson, because if you want to come at us and try and like finger wag to us about who we talk to, what kind of questions we ask on our fucking show, please release that hardball interview that you did with Ryan, where you took him to task, where you really held his feet to the fire, where you really filleted him for not supporting Force the Vote in the correct way.
I really don't fucking understand where Zach's coming from, like energy wise right now. Jimmy fucking, any rational person watching that, Jimmy gave you fucking props, bro. Or at least gave you recognition. He didn't like the interview, but he even said he loved your channel. He loved being on. He loved you guys. We just watched that, so I just don't understand where the fuck he's coming from.
I really want to watch that so that I can learn, so that I can take notes, and maybe you won't have to condescend me on your show next time. You know, oh, I love this show, but here's all the things that they did wrong and that they should have done better, and I was giving them pointers from the fucking bleachers, and, you know, I'm a grown.
Hey, we're a show that criticizes other shows, but don't criticize us, because that's condescending. The Vanguard.
Grown-ass fucking man with a way bigger podcast, but I've burned my fucking bridge with Ryan Grimm, apparently, after all the personal attacks I lobbed at him for...
How weird for you to fucking point out the fact that he has such a bigger podcast when him coming onto your show helps you infinitely times more. What a fucking shit thing to do.
You know, which is fine, right? Jimmy has every right to go on his show and say whatever the fuck he wants about us, whatever the fuck he wants to about Ryan Grimm. We've always defended Jimmy's right to do that. How fucking stupid would it be if we were like, oh, I can't believe Jimmy said something about us I didn't like? Of course he's
But that's what you're doing.
gonna say shit about us that we don't like, but I'm gonna come back on my fucking show and say my piece too. So anyway,
Yeah, I think that's a good good point, Zach, and something that needs to be stressed. You know, and I get it. On our live stream yesterday, it may have seemed like we got a little bit defensive or a little bit triggered. I understand that.
Because you did.
But I want everyone to understand that we really don't give a shit if people criticize us. We've, in fact, made a whole industry on our channel of criticizing other commentators, other channels. Trust me, we can take the fucking heat. We can bear the criticism. And, you know, to be fair, a lot of...
You're taking the fucking heat for Ryan Grimm for what? Access? Thirsty.
the criticism is coming from a good place. I don't think everyone that's, you know, criticizing the Vanguard or anyone else is this, you know, piece of shit or whatever. I listen and I understand where everyone is coming from, or at least I try to, the people that are coming at us in good faith. So I just want that to be said. This isn't about us getting triggered over, you know, someone criticizing us. We criticize hella people on our show. Again, we've basically made it our jobs to do that among bringing you guys the reporting and the news. Let's be honest, that's what people often really want to see. So, you know, I don't begrudge anyone for saying anything about the Vanguard. That's including people in the comments. And if, you know, you feel disappointed, absolutely feel free to unsubscribe, stop supporting us financially, whatever. I would never support a show that I didn't like either. So, you know, we don't begrudge that stuff. And I just want to make that clear. You know, you can keep watching.
Fair enough.
The show, even if you don't love us or support us, etc. You know, there's plenty of shows that I watch. There's plenty of commentators that I watch whose views that I actually don't really align with all that much. There's people like Ryan Grimm, who we just had on our show, who, you know, I have many points of disagreement with, which we stressed, which we, you know, belabored out in that.
Then why invite him on to have a big yes party? If you're not going to invite him on to push him on some of the topics that Jimmy brought up, which are pretty fucking like glaring in the hemisphere of YouTube. So, what's your point?
That debate with Ryan Knight, you know, we really expounded on pretty much all of our points of disagreement, forced the vote, etc. And, you know, the interview we did with him, it's just not what it was about. It wasn't a drama interview. It was about the infrastructure bill. That's what we wanted to talk about. And, you know, to be fair, I thought we did a pretty good job. I really do. Like you said, Zach, I stand by our interview.
Yeah, 100%. So I guess if you're pissed off that we didn't, you know, fucking fireball the guy, that wasn't what we were ever intending to do. And just because you see somebody that we disagree with doesn't mean we're going to fucking fillet them for it. We had Spike Cohen on, who was the vice presidential candidate for the Libertarian Party. And we've had him on twice. The first time it got a little heated. You know, we were voicing our different, you know, fucking opinions, right? It was early on in the podcast history. Gavin and I were still cutting our teeth and, you know, learning the ebbs and flows of a good on-air conversation. And then the second time we had him on with Ian, he's got the show Epoch Philosophy you guys can check out. And we were having more of a, you know, a dialogue on where there are agreements between libertarians and people who are on the progressive left. Things like drugs, things like defunding the police, which was a hot topic at the time. We were looking for places where we could come together. We did not spend the entire time telling Spike that we thought it was absolutely bloody fucking stupid, that he thinks we don't need any regulation in the food industry, that he thinks we don't need any regulation in the healthcare industry. Like, it's absolutely dumb as rocks. But that wasn't the focus of our conversation. And it's kind of like how people often go after Jimmy Dore for going on Tucker Carlson, who is one of the most odious fuckers that you will ever fucking meet. He is disgusting in his bow tie. And now he wants to pretend that he's like an isolationist after he got fucking big, cheerleading every war imaginable. Like, I mean, this dude was a fucking true, straight up neocon that's, gone through a political evolution. And I've never begrudged Jimmy or Glenn Greenwald or any of these others that have gone on his show, right? I wouldn't care about that at all. But how is that any different? Because it wasn't like Jimmy went on his show to be like, you're a fucking fraud, you're a fake populist, you support Donald Trump too much. No, they talked about something that Jimmy thought that they could have good, rational agreement on, which was Julian Assange, and thought that they could move the ball forward on. Well, guess what? We've already had our confrontational interview with Ryan Grimm. We've actually had some private confrontations between Ryan Grimm too, engaging on our disagreements. Confrontation's a loose term. We try and be respectful to the guy because he's always been fucking nice to us, and I'm happy to disagree with people and then still be civil with them. Apparently that's fucking against the law. And I get it. A lot of that is shock jock style delivery. It's a radio performance. Again, I don't take it fucking personally when Jimmy has a bone to pick with us, but of course I'm going to fucking respond. So it's kind of like he can do the whole condescending thing, talk about how we're shit libs, like, we're trying to goad him onto our show. It's like, come on, Jimmy, like, that's not fucking true. But you have to, you are balanced. It's kind of like, actually, it reminds me of a quote from Roadrunner, where they said the best part about Anthony Bourdain was that he was real, but he was still able to hold his audience with a little degree of like heightened reality. And that's what a lot of people in this competing space are doing. And, obviously he's, heightened it up to, do this like shock jock from the left thing, which is extremely successful.
If you feel like Jimmy had to do this video on your video, I think you're putting yourself a little high on the pedestal. You're like, what, 20-something thousand subscribers? I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm fucking nobody. But in the greater view of things, like, what does Jimmy benefit? Aside from him being on your channel, supporting you financially, on a super chat that you completely fucking ignore, several of them, while your whole audience is all watching it, being like, what are you doing? Why are you ignoring that?
And a lot of people love.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, now that we have that out of the way, and I think we've said what we did wrong and what we said we were responsible for, again, offering a retraction on where we misspoke the other day. I do have to, get into the substance of this and call balls and strikes. And again, some people have clearly are under the impression here that we're Jimmy Dore's close friends, that we're some kind of sycophantic channel, which is.
There's a point I want to make to what they were saying a little earlier when they were comparing them having Ryan Grimm to Jimmy being on Fox News. First of all, Jimmy would be reaching an entirely different audience. Entirely different. The people on Fox News are the people you want to talk to. So if you get on there to talk about anything in the sense that you're saying, like, well, we just wanted to talk to him about the things that we agree with. Well, if Jimmy does that to Fox News, how effective that is incredibly more effective than whatever the fuck you're doing with Ryan Grimm. So keep that in mind.
Always going to side with him no matter what. And I hate to tell you guys that is simply not the case. Here at the Vanguard, basically the point of our show is that we react to and respond to other commentators in this lefty independent media space and say where we agree and where we disagree.
Then why are you sitting here saying that you had him on just to agree? Why would you not point out all the things that you disagree with?
So if you guys never thought we were going to have a disagreement with someone like Jimmy, your head must have been straight up your fucking ass. The whole point of our show is to disagree with people. We've always...
Yeah, this whole thing sounds like they just wanted to use this to, like, pump up some kind of fucking drama with Jimmy. Honestly, it just all feels fucking thirsty.
been extremely hyperbolic and vituperative when we're disagreeing with people, and it's just pretty ironic to see a lot of people in our audience, mind blown that we would direct that kind of energy at someone that they like, and that we also.
That's not why. Here's the thing about liking Jimmy Dore. If you like Jimmy Dore at all, and you let anyone know it, they're gonna make it sound like you're in a cult. But the whole reason I started to pay attention to Jimmy Dore was because how much everyone fucking hated him for no reason. And then you go into the videos and you realize that it doesn't make any sense why they're doing this. It doesn't make any sense why they completely ignore force the vote on Medicare for all. The whole thing felt like they just hated the idea because Jimmy was the one behind it. Again, like he said, he didn't come up with it, but he was so vocal on it that he kind of like embodied the movement of it. Movement's not the right word, but you get what I'm saying.
So we've been critical of lots of people, as has Jimmy, and that's what kind of blows my mind about all this. It's like, Jimmy has also made an industry on being savagely critical and often extremely hyperbolic and vituperative towards his fellow lefty commentators. People like, Kyle Kalinske and Crystal Ball, as we recently saw. Pretty much everyone that he's ever associated with at this point.
That's funny because when you were commenting on it, I didn't get that vibe. I didn't get the vibe that you thought he was being hyperbolic. Didn't sound that way then.
Besides the people that are literally on his payroll, he's burned the bridge with. And I just don't get the pearl clutching and the finger wagging over the way we responded from.
Yo, he just said the quiet part out loud. Did you hear it? Let's go back a second. See if you can catch it.
People that are literally on his payroll, he's burned the bridge with. And I just.
He's burned the bridge. That's where Gavin's focus is at. Keeping bridges intact. To me, that sounds like, well, Jimmy, you're the one who just keeps fucking up your access with everyone. What do you expect me to do? I'm not going to be the one to ask all the tough questions. You're the one that burned your bridge. This is my show. That's the Vanguard, bro. That's how you fucking look right now.
I just don't get the pearl clutching and the finger wagging over the way we responded from people that otherwise love Dore. So that aside, let's address this criticism. So Steph, Jimmy's wife, she tweets out this interview. They did upload the clip of Jimmy reacting to our interview with Ryan Grimm, and she says, "No, when a blue check blocks you on Twitter, then keeps talking about you, this is now referred to as a Grimm job." And of course, she's just posting this interview. But Ryan Grimm actually responded to this. And again, like I've said multiple times, usually I end up siding with Jimmy Dore on politics. When it comes to foreign policy, when it comes to a lot of other things, I generally share a lot of his political inclinations. And usually when it comes to Ryan versus Jimmy beefs, I'm on Jimmy's side. But again, we're not going to be sycophantic, and we're not going to pretend to have a position that we don't. And I have to say that Ryan Grimm is 100% objectively correct here. He says, "The last time I went on, Jimmy nodded and agreed with my points. Then when I hung up, he changed his tune. Then he refused to post the interview or the video of the interview. Now you guys."
Nobody fucking cares. Nobody fucking cares about whatever that video wasn't. Like, you think it fucking proves something, but it doesn't. Your audience doesn't give a shit about that. What we do give a shit about is Ryan Grimm really opposed Medicare for all, the force to vote. You can't ignore that. You can't ignore that. Kyle Kalinske could have said more on force to vote. He didn't. He barely covered it. I mean, in the context, you got to remember, all of these people are close. They're close with each other. They're friends.
Stalk me like creeps, and you're talking about fetishes.
Not necessarily the Vanguard. I meant more Kyle, Jimmy, TYT. And that's
weird.
A whole,
and like I said,
whole nother thing. And I may do a video on that here soon if something more develops, but I feel like I'm kind of late to the cake there.
That's just true. Ryan Grimm did go on Jimmy Dore's show during the force the vote moment. They had what you could describe as a discussion or a friendly debate, but it was no, intense slaughter interview. It was not Jimmy Dore holding Ryan Grimm to account. It was a perfectly amicable, professional conversation, just like the one we had with Ryan Grimm on our channel, which, by the way, is still up for everyone to watch. You can go see how we did. Again, Jimmy's the one that is refusing to post the video of his interview. So, you know,
Again, nobody fucking cares. I don't care that Jimmy and Ryan Grimm agreed at one point. What I do know is Ryan Grimm didn't fucking come to bat when it mattered. I know that. Jimmy did.
I kind of do get Ryan's frustration here. And again, I agree with Jimmy Dore probably more often than I do Ryan Grimm. But in this specific instance, I do think Jimmy Dore is coming off like a fucking coward. Why are you refusing to talk to this guy? And also, he posts this interview.
What a ridiculous fucking thing to say. That Jimmy Dore is coming off like a coward. By what definition? Jimmy, you're gonna get mad. I don't know if you've already said it or if you're gonna say it in a second. But the Vanguard's gonna say that Jimmy ignored the fact that the Vanguard wanted Jimmy and Ryan Grimm on their show. And Ryan Grimm said he would be cool with that. Why would Ryan Grimm be cool with that? Because you got a 20,000 subscribers? Is that why? Would Ryan Grimm be cool with another relatively bigger show like Jimmy's hosting a debate? Fuck no, he wouldn't. You know he wouldn't. You could see in that interview, he was so scared when there was actually like a position he had to take on that. Chumps, bro.
Or this clip, rather, talking about our interview with Ryan Grimm, reacting to it for 25 minutes, and titles it Ryan Grimm runs from Jimmy Dore interview. What he conveniently leaves out is that at the very end of the fucking interview we did with Ryan Grimm, I asked him straight up, would you be willing to talk to Jimmy Dore again on our show? Would you be willing to come on the Vanguard for a moderated debate between yourself and Jimmy Dore? And Ryan Grimm said, absolutely, he would be. And that's not the first time he said something like that. I've listened to many interviews.
And I'm not trying to take a poke at the Vanguard here, but you're relatively nobody compared to Jimmy. Right? I mean, you're talking about like 20,000 subscribers versus like near mill. So if you can't see the fucking reason behind that.
Of Ryan Grimm on several different shows saying that he'd be happy to engage with Jimmy Dore again for an actual debate. But Jimmy's over here acting like for months now that Ryan's running away from him. I'm sorry, but that's simply dishonest. That's just dishonest, man. He's trying to debate you. He's been trying to engage you. You're the one that's running away, and you are the one making it weird as fuck, dude. You are attacking him personally. You are distracting from the policy. Why don't you just want to engage with people? What is so hard about just sitting down and engaging with someone that disagrees with you? Again, you can sit down with Tucker Carlson and have a perfectly amicable conversation. You can sit down with Joe Rogan and have a perfectly amicable conversation, and I don't begrudge you for it. But that being said, I think it's fair to say Ryan Grimm agrees with us on more things than fucking Tucker Carlson. I'm sorry, but I think he's more of an ally. And I think it's kind of insane that we can't have a conversation about infrastructure.
Again, it's stupid to compare those two things because they're not comparable. What Jimmy does going on Fox is a whole different effect than what Ryan Grimm does coming on your show. Giving him another space to say yes to. Just
with someone who's our
gaslighting a real
ally,
issue.
but then we have to turn around and defend you when fucking people are criticizing you for having conversations with Magnus. Like it's just really mind-blowing.
Honestly, bro, I can't watch any more of that. It's starting to feel just like the whole fucking Kyle Kalinske response video. And here's the whole point why I even wanted to take these two videos and put them in some sort of context. I've been watching progressive left media on YouTube for a good minute. And there's so much shit that they all talk about doing, about organizing. They got millions of fucking followers. They got millions of donations a year. Like, these people are making great money. And they just continue to talk. They don't really do anything with that. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they have to. I'm not saying that's the point. But when the one fucking thing that you could do is talk about an issue that we needed to bring some attention to, like forced to vote. Like with the relationships you, Kyle Kalinske, have with the progressive Democrats, with Justice Democrats. I'm sorry. I know that here recently, the whole TYT fallout's really fucked you. And everybody's about to find out that you didn't leave TYT, but TYT fired you. That makes you look like a fucking punk, bro. God, I used to like you too, man. And I really like watching the Vanguard. And it just seems like this energy just came out of nowhere. The defensiveness is like, y'all just sound so thirsty for access to Ryan Grimm and whoever he's associated with. I'm sure you know that that's going to branch out for you once they see how much you defended him. But, man, the Vanguard, I hope that works good for your careers. But I can't find one good comment on this video, bro. Let me look at a couple of these. Let's see here. Exactly. They start out saying they have no regrets. Then why are they addressing it? Come at me, bro. This would be funny if these clowns didn't think they should be taken seriously. Zach should drop more F-bombs when he's calling someone else a shock jock. Last I checked, Jimmy gave you guys praise. It seems your own audience was annoyed with the softball interview, but trust me, the hate didn't come from Dore. Exactly. You're going to sit... everybody's response to any kind of criticism they get that Jimmy comments on is, oh, the Jimmy Dore cult's coming after me now, and you can't disagree with Jimmy about anything. No, it's the thing that you guys are disagreeing on is the absolutely fucking wrong things. How can y'all not see that? God. I feel like over the past 6 months, any progressive media is just falling apart. And I hate it. But that's the state of affairs, man. I'm going to kick this off. We're almost up to like 45 minutes here. But I'm going to kick this off. I'm going to catch you guys on another night. I may follow up with another video on if any of this progressives, but thank you guys checking out for me and Nate Reacts. See you guys soon.